Hey guys, welcome to the sixth video of the Summer Let's Learn Python project. Um, I'm filming this one from my balcony, and I kind of have to whisper, because everyone's asleep. So yeah. One, I have a balcony, and two, I'm really sorry that this video is super late. One, it's 1 a.m. So yeah, that's pretty late, but also because I'm, slacking. Because I'm cooking delicious things and reading a lot of papers on math and writing a lot of MATLAB code. Uh, two of those things are pretty good, and you can figure it out yourself. It's the second and the third one. Anyway, today we're gonna learn some awesome stuff, so buckle up. Yeah, but really, it's good stuff. I'm gonna put the computer a little further away from my face, so sorry if my voice gets all quiet. Hmm? So, um, first of all, we have some new things here. The def keyword. And you'll note, oh, excuse me, that's not supposed to happen. Hey look, it's see-through. Check it out, right? Can you see that? Well, anyway. Yeah, the def keyword. As you can see, everything's indented. So you know it's all contained within this keyword. And I'm defining a main function. You can tell it's a function because it has these little parentheses, the function operator, right after it. So everything's contained inside these def things. What does that do? Well, we're defining a process to run, and just because it's the main function, I mean, it it doesn't mean you can't call it again. I suppose I explained that badly. Just because you given all these commands to run to make it run through the Python interpreter doesn't mean that you can't run through them again. You just have to call on the function again. So normally you would run your Python code, right? And, oh, excuse me, this is all gross. Um, you'd run through your Python code, and every time you call Python Hello World or Python 3 Hello World, life would be grand. But now, suppose you wanted to run it twice. Suppose you wanted to run it unending times. Or suppose you only want to run it when you wanted to, or wanted to define other things, like our haha function, which prints out ha ha ha, and that's it. Well, with this, you can use your own functions. It's kind of like this print function. It prints things out, and yeah, you can define your own now. This one prints out a very specific thing. Note the similarities to the if statement and the for loop and the while loop. The colon afterward, the keyword. Uh, this is the function name, or yeah, the function name. Handle, some people call it. And the function operator, so that's parenthesis, parenthesis, or open and close. And yeah, so now if we use Python 3 and we save it, it'll do that right for us. Let's try again. Let's do it 2 times or 3 times. See? It's running what we defined up here, because it's like, oh, ha, or haha function. I know where that is. It's right here. We defined it. And then we'll run it. We could do other things in this block, whatever we decide to do. And yeah, that's what a function is. The main function, traditionally, contains everything you want to do. I know in previous Python videos, we didn't really do that. We just ran it straight out. But traditionally, you'll look for, traditionally you'll have this, what's called a boilerplate at the bottom. Google calls it a boilerplate. And it'll call on your main function. And your main function will do the very core activities of what you want to do. And the rest of it will just be like these things that you won't call unless you really need to. They're kind of there for convenience. You don't want to have everything in the same basket per se. But at the same time, you don't want to put everything in functions and have your main functions be like one thing, because that's kind of unreadable. And if you can't read it, then who will be able to read it? What if you're working with people? That's a terrible thing. Like, your coworkers will hate you, and life will be terrible because obviously the opinions of your anyway, the opinions of your coworkers, whatever. So yeah, there's good things about putting things in functions. I wouldn't have to write out print ha 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 each time, but then again, this is only one line, so I could just do that and not define a whole another function. The main function is generally a good choice. If you want to know why we use this boilerplate thing, I refer you to Google or Stack Overflow because they have this great explanation which I sort of understand, but not really. Sort of. So, yeah, you can read it on your own time. It's the first link if you Google it, and yeah. Sorry guys, I'm not very helpful there. Oh, I left the process running. Anyway, hopefully that explained what a function is in very basic terms. There are things that you can pass to it. For example, in this one, we're passing a variable to it, a, and we're printing a. I guess I should name these different things. So, even though here my variable is named AAA or AAA, I'm calling the function printer and pushing it here. And here, printer calls it A because it's what you pass to it. And it'll come down here and print whatever you pass to it. It's called scope. The function likes to call things by its own name. It's like when you're a child and you start naming things on your own. Like, maybe you can't pronounce banana, so you say nana, or something silly. I don't know. But the function loves to call it its own name because then it'll have a hold on it, a handle, one might say, a variable name. So you have to give it a name, and it'll do that with whatever you hand it, but it won't keep the same name. Hopefully that made sense as well. That's a little trickier for some people, especially because things change names in the same files. Not all functions have to be held in the same files. Obviously, we never define a print function, but it seems to run all right. But yeah, hopefully that'll work out. If you have problems, email me. It is sort of a hard concept to get through. Name scope matters a lot more in C, but here it still matters because you can't really see it, but there's a change in scope right when you stop indenting. Weird, right? Anyway, that's the first half of what we're going to teach you. Those are functions, and they do that. They compartmentalize or modularize, some would say. Computer scientists love to say keep your code modular, so you can like see what's happening. Obviously, this printer function doesn't do much, but what if it did all sorts of crazy things to your variable? Then you want to keep all those crazy things separate from your main function so it didn't look all cluttered. Onward to the second thing we're going to learn, which is lists. And yeah, there's a lot to learn about lists. Lists are kind of awesome. Lists are exactly what you think they are. They're a list of something. Last week, oh gosh, it's been a while since I posted, we learned about the range function, which returns a list. By the way, functions return things. We'll get to that later. But, yeah. It's... Oh, I didn't want this. I wanted this. Lists are a list of things. That's pretty much it. But you can do cool stuff with a list of things. And it's pretty cool that you can contain whatever you want in them. I suggest you read this. It's the Python tutorial on data structures if you're more advanced. If you're less advanced, just know that it's a list and it has these functions attached to it. So AAA is my list in this case. I can say remove 3. And now I'm using the list function remove, and I'm removing 3. I will remove the first item from the list whose value is 3, or the argument x in this case, because the function wants to call it whatever its name thinks. Excuse me. The function wants to call the variable being passed to it whatever it's named it in its own scope, in its own little world. Yeah. So now I'm removing the first instance of 3. You can look through and learn these yourself. I'm not going to go through all of them since there are a lot of them, and most of them are pretty obvious. Count the number of times a variable appears in your list. So if I was to count 3 first, it would go through and count that many times. So I could print that. And going back to talk about functions, I could also store that like this. Functions return a value sometimes. It uses the keyword return, and it sends back a value afterwards. So if I wanted to say, yes, I printed something, now my printer returns, yes, I printed, exclamation point. So let's see it. Let's see it in action as soon as I find my terminal, which is see-through and awesome. There we go. Yes, I printed. Woohoo! So that's what a return statement is. In many languages, you can only return one value. In Python, you can return as many as you'd like. We'll go over that later. But yeah. So now we've learned about 2 important things, lists and functions. I know this was kind of a bad video because I'm filming at 1 a.m. and I've gone on 15 minutes just blabbering, but I really meant to get this out because these are 2 important concepts that are heavily used in the rest of, well, computer science everywhere. Functions. Functions here are running bits of code, and you can run it again, as we saw with the haha function that was being reused. They also modularize and make your code more readable. So you'd expect everything, the core of what your code does, to be contained within the main function. And of course, you have this boilerplate thing, which you can read about later. And then we learned about lists, and we learned that they're pretty much lists. They have these sorts of functions. You can reverse it, you can sort it, you can count it, or you count an element of it. You can return the index. So you search through and you look for the index at which something's stored. Yeah, you can remove things. You can pop them so that removes and gives it to you back. You insert them, extend it, append it. Yeah, it's great. There are other things which we'll go through next week, but that's pretty much it for today. I'm sorry this is so long and meandering. I'm gonna stop apologizing now and get out of your face. So have a nice day. I'm sorry this video is so late, and I said I would stop apologizing. Okay, well, good night everybody. Sorry. Darn it, okay. Bye.